Hey guys, just gonna introduce our book for the fourth partial. It is Hatchet by Gary Paulsen. I kind of have a special edition, almost looks like, leather bound. And I'm just gonna read the intro. And I have found a very good reader that has already read through this whole book. So as not to make like 20 more videos, I'm gonna make other videos about the book. But I am gonna take us through the intro, and this will probably move us into a creative writing assignment. So, this is from the desk of Gary Paulsen, the author of Hatchet. I think you guys are gonna love this book, because I love it. Hatchet came from the darkest part of my childhood. I don't think I ever realized that before, but now as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the book's publication, it's what I see the most clearly. The three most important parts of my life, reading, the woods, and writing, all came together in Hatchet. And maybe that's why Brian and his story have lasted all these years and have found so many readers. I never did well in school. My parents were, to put it gently, a complete mess. I didn't have many, probably any, friends. I was lost, I was all alone, and I was miserable. I knew almost total isolation or seclusion as a young person. The first escape I ever found was reading books in the basement of our apartment building, behind the furnace, where nobody could find me. I could lose myself in books and forget the screaming and fighting and drinking in my kitchen. The hours, which passed so slowly and painfully in classes, sped by. I found interesting people in the pages of books in a way I never managed to in real life. Reading took me away from where I was and opened up a whole new world to me. I felt safe. I felt free. I learned things, reading novels that had totally escaped me in class. I taught myself history, and I studied character, and I absorbed story, all by myself in the basement. The words on the page were no longer the inscrutable code I thought they were in school. Books and reading were my best teachers, and once I lost myself in their pages, I became a truly good student for the first time in my life. When things with my folks got worse, and they always got worse, and the screaming got loud enough to hear down behind the furnace, and I had no one to turn to and nowhere else to go, I slipped into the woods near where I lived. I'd walk 4 blocks over and 1 down and across the 8th Street Bridge and fade into woods so vast that they ran all the up to Hudson Bay. The woods were the first place I knew I belonged, where I was capable and I felt competent. The wilderness was my sanctuary, safe place. The only place I had ever fit in and instinctively understood the next step to take. I could figure things out. Walk here, avoid that, eat this, bring that, in a way that never made sense anywhere else. On my own, under the trees, or on the lake, or next to the river, I was protected, as far from danger as I had ever been. In the wilderness, I was at ease. I learned the rules, and I not only survived, but I thrived. The woods and books were the only reason I got through my childhood in one piece. And then years later, when I was an adult, I found the third part of my life that came to me with an ease and a clarity that I had lacked in virtually every other area of living. So I started writing. The need to write hit me like a brick. I had a career and a family and a house and a retirement plan. I did all the things that responsible grown-up people do until suddenly and irrevocably I knew that I had to write. I couldn't not write. I stood up in an instant and walked away from my job as an aerospace engineer and headed to Los Angeles to find writers who would teach me what to do. I edited a grubby men's magazine, and every night I slaved over short stories and articles for 2 editors who ripped me to shreds every morning. They didn't leave a single sentence unscathed, and they taught me to write clean and fast. And the dance with words gave me a joy and a purpose I had been looking for my entire life. So for me, Hatchet is where the 3 things that saved me, the isolation and escape of reading, the lessons that only the woods could teach, and the joy of dancing with words, came together. Everything I am and everything I will ever be and everything I will leave behind is because I loved reading and I loved the woods and I loved writing. Hatchet might have come from a dark place, but for 30 years now, the book and the relationship it allowed me to have with young readers and teachers and librarians and booksellers has been one of the brightest spots in my existence. So thank you, thank all of us for joining me on this journey. I am grateful to everyone who ever handed this book to a young person and to every reader who ever wrote me to tell me what Brian and the secret and his survival meant to them. So let's keep this thing rolling. I'll keep writing if you keep on reading. Brian might have more to say. I know I have more to write, but being your partner on this adventure has been one of the greatest thrills of my life. And this is from the author, Gary Paulsen. So we're about to read Hatchet. Amazing book. This book has had a great big impact on my thinking, and I still love reading it today. And when Timothy grows up, my son, I will be reading it to him. So this is one of the great books. So let's enjoy it together. Thanks, guys.